Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I'm wicked excited to be here with you today. And first things first, if you're listening to this show, hi, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching, let me explain a little bit about what you're seeing behind me. And I'm only telling you all this because it's pertinent to like how this show today came about. So I'm in the middle of a major project. I've been moving like all the bookcases and stuff. I got a new piece that's downstairs in what I call the library. It's also AKA Toby Pajama's room. Oh my God, Toby Pajamas is our almost 20-year-old Ginger Ninja orange cat. He's amazing. So he has a room downstairs, but I call it the library. So I got a new piece. It's like a librarian card catalog. I'm obsessed with it. So I had to move all the bookcases around in my house. So as you can see behind me on the floor, there's a bunch of books everywhere because I haven't finished organizing, but I needed to I'm like, I got to get this podcast done. So forgive the mess. But thank goodness. Thank you, baby Jesus, for the mess. Because amongst all the books, when I was moving everything around, I found an old notebook. I have since torn out in the notebook all the stuff that I had written in it. But inside the cover of this journal, right? It's like 8.5. I'm holding it up. It's 8.5 by 11. It's pink. It's got a big J on the front for journal or whatever. But this journal has been with me for a really long time. And I had it back in the day, even when I lived in like California, I had this sucker. So this thing is like I moved back here, I moved back east in 1998. So that's how long that's how long I've had this sucker. So in 2001, I started teaching yoga in 1999. I got certified in 2001 at Kripalu. So the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, it's out in Western Massachusetts in the Berkshires, right? And so when I went to my YTT, my yoga teacher training in 2001, the very beginning of 2001, I took this journal with me to write down all the stuff. And I wanted to take some comforting words with me. I'm sure it was something about like my nervous system. I was probably so stressed out about the fact that I was going to a place that I didn't know, to live in a dorm. Like I lived at Kripalu for a whole month. Like that's how we used to do it back in the day. You would go, you would live there for a month. And I was going to be sleeping in a dorm room with like 5 other women that I didn't know in bunk beds, like the whole thing. And so I'm sure my nervous system just wanted, like me and my nervous system just wanted something familiar. So inside this journal, I have taped these 6 little like business card size pieces of paper. And I'm going to tell you all about them. I'll show you real quick if you can't see. You can see them all like taped right in here. So just imagine on the inside of this hardcover, I have these 6 pieces of paper. And they're going to be the heartbeat of what we're talking about today. So I don't know what I'm going to call this sucker. Maybe 6 fantastic things my therapist told me or something like that, or 6 like wicked helpful things my therapist told me or taught me. I mean, my therapist at the time, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her in a moment. She taught me way more than 6 things, but these were little notes that she gave me, and I'll tell you about those in a minute. Okay, so if you know me, like if you've been around for a while, if you're a loyal listener or you started from episode 1 on, I think episode two, we're now at like episode 371, I think this is. So way back, 7 years ago, episode 2, I think the title is something like Meeting My Spiritual Teacher or something like that. So way back then, I explain how when I lived in LA, this I'm going to go do like super fast, wicked, like fast Cliff Notes versions of this. So way back in the day, I worked at a bookstore. Before I worked at the bookstore, discovered a book called Return to Love, blah, blah, blah. Many of you may know, like Marianne Williamson and her book. Fast forward when I lived in LA, she and I ended up meeting. I'm just, you don't need all these details. That's why I'm going to do it really fast. I ended up traveling. I went on 2 spiritual pilgrimages with her, 2 weeks each. One was to England and Ireland, but the first one was Egypt. I was in Egypt for 2 weeks on a spiritual pilgrimage. She was kind of leading and guiding and teaching. It was life-changing. These experiences were life-changing. And then I came home from England and Ireland, and then like a month later, I went to, I came home from Egypt, and then a month later, I went to like England and Ireland. Again, all life-changing. And before during the England and Ireland trip, Marianne and I had a long conversation, whatever. She ended up setting me up with somebody. Okay. So I ended up dating this guy and I was with him for like 6, 7 months, 8 months, I don't know, whatever it was. And then the relationship ended. And at the end of the relationship, Marianne gifted me. This is why we're getting to the point to the therapist, right? But because she set us up and the relationship didn't pan out, she gifted me a session with a local therapist, a friend of hers, right? Who is like world renowned, as I would say, for being like a relationship therapist. She deeply understands the heart of relating and love and partnerships and all the things that can go wrong, all the things that can happen when you have two beings who are coming together and trying to like do relationships with one another, you know what I mean? And her name was Daphne Rose Kingma. Now, Daphne, here's what's so fascinating. One of the things that I am not surprised at all about, but almost all of my most, I mean, maybe it's all. I should really think about that. But almost all of my beloved teachers, like my teachers who have left such a huge mark on me, they're all also happen to be writers. No big surprise there. So Daphne, these are just some of her books. I'm holding up a stack of one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I know she has more than this books, right? Some of the things are titles. This book was really fantastic. I remember this back in the day. The Men We Never Knew, How to Deepen Your Relationship with the Man You Love. Then there's a daily Rita, a daily reflections, a garland of love. True love, how to make your relationship sweeter, deeper, and more passionate. On and on and on. Finding true love, coming apart. Oh my God, this book right here, you guys, I'm holding this sucker up. Coming apart, why relationships end and how to live through the ending of yours. This book was like a life raft. This thing was like a lifesaver to me. All right. I felt like it was thrown to me to keep my head above water and from drowning. Okay, but here's the thing. So Daphne, when I lived and worked with Marianne, so that's how all this happened, is I was living in Marianne's guest house and I was working for her, right? And during that time is when the relationship with this guy ended and she gifted me the session. And it wasn't just one session. I mean, I started paying for it, but I continued to go. Like after meeting Daphne, Daphne to me had the best like maternal energy. She saw me, she got me, she loved me. She was so compassionate and kind. I mean, I've never met another person like Daphne. I just adore her. We were living in Monticello, like really Santa Barbara, just Montecito, sorry, Montecito, which is really Santa Barbara. Um, but so Daphne was the one who gave me, finally, here we are. Thanks for sticking with me. Daphne was the one who would write me these little cards after our sessions. They were like little love notes to take with me, almost like homework, but in such the sweetest way. And I still have them all these years later, almost 30 years later. That's how much they meant to me. So I thought I would share these 6 things because they really, really helped me. And I think they just might be helpful to somebody out there, somebody who's listening too. I don't know if all of them will land with you or one of them will land with you, but I think that even though they were personal to me, just like everything on this show, when people ask me, like, what's your show about? I'm always like, how do I explain this? I'm always like, I use personal storytelling to apply universal spiritual principles or things that just can really help us when we're on this whole like being human experience and journey and just trying to be a better human being, trying to stay closer and connected to ourselves, to source, however you might define that, the spirit of who we are. And just really trying to help us like develop more like self-development, personal growth, spiritual mentoring, storytelling, all of it, right? That's what this show is. It's really about leaving people better than how I found them and spreading more love in the world, right? So I thought that these 6 things might be helpful to you. Now, maybe you'll recognize yourself in some of the habits, right? So when she wrote these to me, I was still in my 20s. I was a young woman and I was still figuring some things out and navigating the world really without parents. I didn't really have parental influence. I lived with my aunt and uncle after my mother was killed. My stepfather, my biological father were like not really around. I saw them occasionally or whatever, but nobody was like really raising me. Do you know what I mean? So from like 12 on, I was really emotionally and stuff in a lot of ways on my own. But from 17 on, when I went off to college, I was really raising myself. And so these adult teachers, these adult women especially, who would come into my life, like Mary Ann, and you've heard guys have heard me talk about Miss Lefebvre, Kay Lefebvre, who was one of my, she's still one of my beloved humans who I consider one of my second moms. But Daphne also had one of those like mom figures to me, as well as like Mary Ann as well, Marianne Williamson. So, I was a young woman trying to figure shit out and, dating. I've often joked, like, in a lot of ways, it's not that the men were the same, like, they all looked different, but a lot of the patterns that existed in my relationships and how I related to them in the world and myself. Daphne obviously could pick these things up. So maybe you'll see yourself in some of these things, okay? So, number one was this: ask. She just wrote the word ask in all capital letters, ASK, and underlined it. And she said, selfish is your new frontier. So, Daphne for sure recognized that I had a tendency to not, first of all, didn't even know that I was allowed to have needs and desires and wants and things that I want, like me having needs. Like, what are you kidding me? And then asking for those needs to be met from another human being, or asking, and I understand, right? We have to like fulfill our own needs in a lot of ways. But when you're in a relationship with somebody, man, it is give and take. It is compromise in a lot of ways. You have to be willing to collaborate. I think of all relationships as collaborations, right? And, we got to be willing to ask for what we want. It doesn't mean that the other person has to give it to us or even has the capacity to give it to us. But understanding that you are worthy of having feelings, of having needs, of whatever, and then being brave enough and vulnerable enough to ask. When she said selfish is your new frontier, she's kind of winking at me because I would think that, oh my God, it's so selfish to ask for what I want and what I need. And it was kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like selfish is your new frontier because you have just assumed that you didn't deserve things or weren't allowed to want things because of and some of you may, be able to relate to this, that when you were younger, especially where I grew up and how I grew up and the time I grew up, it's like what I wanted to need and didn't give a shit. Nobody was asking me, you know what I mean? Nobody was fulfilling my order. I wasn't like pulling up like special orders don't upset us. No, I felt like all my special orders would upset everybody. So I never asked, you know what I mean? So ask, selfish is your new frontier. So being able to speak up and use your voice and ask for what you want and ask for what you need, it's not actually quote unquote selfish, but she was giving me permission to, even if I thought of those things as selfish, she's like, this is your new frontier. This is what I want you to do. Like, this is your homework. And I started, obviously, as I started to mature and grow, and I realized, oh, that's not selfish at all. That's just called like being in relationship and being human and AKA needing help once in a while. So that was a really, really, really good lesson for me. And hopefully, like I said, some of what I'm going to share with you is going to be helpful to you too, because I know so many women who put everybody else in their life first, and especially add on top of that if you're a mother, right? Because then it's like now it's not just like if you're in a relationship or at work or whatever. A lot of us tend to be people pleasers. A lot of us tend to Cirque du Soleil ourselves into whatever you need, and sometimes it's what the people in our life have gotten used to because we've created patterns and habits of how it is. Sometimes it's what people try to demand of us. And I think these days we get to say, yeah, I'm at capacity. I don't have the ability to do that. And to not just like put ourselves last all the time. Okay. So I could go on and on and on about these, but I don't want this to be a 90-minute episode. Okay. So ask, selfish is your new frontier. She also said this to me. This second one says, at the end of each day, ask yourself. So that first one is about asking others, right? Speak up, use your voice, and ask for what you need. This one says, at the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I need or want today that I didn't ask for? Oh man, such a good one. What did I need or want today that I didn't ask for? And this is such a great reflection because the deeper part of this, the under is, first of all, why didn't I ask? Especially if that was my homework, is to start asking. But second of all, um, it helped me to get really clear on what I want and what I needed. And then why didn't I ask? Was I afraid? Because here's what it's getting at. If I'm in a relationship with somebody where I feel like it's all about them and it's the them show and it's always about them, which is a habit. Like it was, I had a habit, or let's even say an attraction to dating really talented and skilled people. People who were used to being the center of the universe, people who were used to, whether they were on stage or they were the best athlete or the best musician or whatever. I had a tendency to date people who got to be in the spotlight. And I was always like the consummate like cheerleader, right? Like the best cheerleader of all time. And I'm really good at that. I'm really good at building people up and celebrating people and loving people and, showering like, oh my God, praise or whatever on them. But what can happen in a lot of that is that you and your needs get put to the back burner. And sometimes those kinds of people, not always, of course, and I'm not vilifying people I dated, I'm just saying, right? It's a lot of times those kinds of people aren't used to having things be asked of them because so much is often given to them. So much is often assumed. And I'm not saying that they were necessarily entitled, but hey, like a lot of men in this world, they are a little bit entitled, aren't they? I mean, in fair, call a spade, kind of fair. So, but on top of that, if you're used to being looked at in a particular way because of how you look, right? Whether people find you attractive or beautiful or hot or sexy or whatever, and then you add a skill set and a talent on that, and you're used to getting all this praise, and then you're with somebody who wants things from you, it's like, wait, what? So this is really good because it required me to reflect on what kind of relationships I was in, what kind of patterns and racket I was running on myself or involved in. And why didn't I ask for what I wanted and I needed? And also, it caused me to slow down and really ask myself, what do I want? What do I need? And what's mine to take care of? And what is reasonable to ask my partner or my family members or my friends? So maybe number two, the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I need or want today that I didn't ask for? Number three, oh my God, this is another big one, you guys. Woo! It says, say thank you for each wonderful thing you receive. And then she puts in parentheses, so it changes your brain. Oh my God, Daphne was so fucking smart back then. Nowadays, I was kind of reflecting on this the other day, how maybe I'll do a whole podcast on this. I don't know. But something, it kind of happened in the yoga world, and then it just kind of happens where things become like the hot topic or the hot new thing, right? So yoga had been around for a really long time, but then obviously there was this wave of yoga that caught on, and then it was just like everywhere. And that's the thing about Americans in particular. I love us guys and, right, white people, and we have a way of kind of like taking things. Oh my God. We have a way of taking things and then just like wringing every ounce out of it. And now, especially with the internet, it's like for the longest time, nobody was really talking about nervous systems and stuff, except for maybe therapists and some yoga teachers and people who did body work and, trainers, stuff like that. Now, all of a sudden, everybody and their brother is giving lectures on the vagus nerve and self-regulation and attachment, like all these things, right? It's like nervous system this, nervous system that. And a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I mean, I know I've been studying with some really great teachers for a long time. But the reason why I'm saying that is that even back in the day, Daphne understood about neuroscience and the neuroscience of habit and changing my brain. She says, thank you for each wonderful thing you receive. So it changes your brain. So what she clocked in me, what she saw in me is that I had a way of ping, ping, ping. I'm doing Wonder Woman bracelets right now. I had this way of deflecting not just compliments, but deflecting love. People would be trying to like give me things. That could be anything from a compliment to love to money to whatever. And I would just like ping, 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 ricochet rabbit that shit. Oh my God. I wasn't in the habit of, I wasn't used to receiving I was wicked good at giving, not so much at getting, right? So she wanted me to start to create new neural pathways. She didn't say it this way. She just kept it really simple for my simple little brain back then, right? Just say thank you for each wonderful thing you receive, whether it's a compliment, whether it's a hug, whether it's somebody wanted to spend time with me, whether it was an opportunity, right? Somebody wanted to help me and give me money, like whatever it was, like let yourself receive it. Oh my God. I had to learn, as Rabindranath Tagore says, like the capacity to receive. I had to create the capacity to receive things. And Daphne saw this in me. Like, so, God, I just like, thank you so much to that younger 20-year-old, 20 something year old version of me, who was just willing to listen. And that's the thing I've always said is when smarty pants people are saying smarty pants things, I am smart enough to listen. And Daphne was somebody that not only did I cherish, but I listened to. Okay, this next one is all about like rest. Okay, she says, just because you don't think you're doing anything doesn't mean you're not doing anything. So often I used to think, and she drew a little hat. She drew a little hat next to that one. I think there was a part of me back in the day that was incredibly restless. And I would not like to just like sit around or be with my feelings or be with myself because I felt like if I wasn't doing anything, then nothing was happening. I wasn't doing anything. And I came from a very blue collar background. Maybe some of you were listening and you're like, yeah, me too, right? It was like, must be productive, must earn my worth, must do all this shit. Resting was not something that we like even now, like I'm not the best resta. It doesn't mean I can lay perfectly still, for long periods of time, right? I can be in shavasana. It's not that. I'm somebody who generates a lot of energy, right? So I can go, 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 go. And I've always been able to be still for long periods of time, like reading books. I will be a reader to the day I die, or I can't see. And even if I couldn't see, I'd probably start doing audio books and all that stuff, right? I can be still now, but I think back in the day, whether it's whatever, we can say my nervous system did not feel safety, because safe doesn't always feel safe when you're not used to it. And being still, I was a person who had to hustle for a really long time in my life. And yeah, so I think that this just giving me this thing about just because you don't think you're doing anything doesn't mean that stuff isn't happening. And I have learned this as a writer for sure. I have learned this as a writer for sure. And I think it was, oh my God, who said it? I don't know if it was Flannery O'Connor. I don't know. But somebody said that I'm totally butchering this, but so forgive me if somebody knows. I have the exact quote written down somewhere, but it just came to mind. But it's something about like that one of the things that writers need to be able to do or creative people need to be able to do is to have the ability to sit kind of and stare stupidly. Like you have to be able to just sit and like look out a window, sit and let your mind dream, right? Because when you're creating and writing, you're closer to the dream state, right, than you are to the thinking state. And so it's like this ability to sit and to stare, to be able to be still. And I will tell you that, and not just like still, but you could be taking a walk and you'll feel guilty because you're out taking a walk or playing with your dog or doing something because you think, oh, I'm not quote unquote doing anything, as if the thing I'm doing doesn't have value because I'm not earning money or I'm not creating some sort of quote unquote fucking value. Oh my God, this whole thing about everything you need to do on the internet or in your business, in your life, you have to create value for others. I might have to do a whole podcast about that. So this is also just like another little love note, a little permission slip to me that basically says like you can do quote unquote nothing, right? And you're still doing stuff to help you to heal, to grow, to deepen your relationship with yourself, source, spirit, whatever. That was such a huge one for me. If you haven't read the book Rest is Resistance, check that sucker out too. But I love that one. And maybe double amen hands if you know what I'm saying, that we've been fed the story, sometimes from our origin, family of origin, sometimes from our culture, blue collar kids, whatever, Now, don't get me wrong. I love a hard worker. I am a hard worker myself. And there are times when we need to let stuff breathe and be. And I will sometimes get my best ideas, my best ahas when I'm walking, when I'm out taking a walk, or when I'm driving. I know some other people always say it's when they're in the shower or whatever it is. But just because we're not doing anything, quote unquote, anything, doesn't mean we're not doing anything. We could be gathering, right? We could just be letting creativity and imagination play, and that is really vital and that is really important. And I don't think we do it enough sometimes. Okay, here's the next one. This also goes back to my capacity, I think, back in the day, to overgive. I am an overgiver. I would say I'm probably still in some ways an overgiver, although I have better boundaries now. I had to work on it for a wicked long time. Anybody else? It's not just me, right? Oh my God. So she wrote this. This one's in blue. And she says, give yourself, and she underlined this, give yourself as much as you give them. And she underlined them. And she also put in parentheses money as well. So she's like, give yourself as much as you give them. Oh man. So it's not just about money, obviously. This is about how we have a tendency, and this is people like women in particular, people, certain people in general. We have a tendency to give so much of ourselves away, our time, our creativity, our energy, our means, our money, whatever. We do for other people. And then we leave ourselves table scraps, we leave ourselves breadcrumbs, and we'll give away a whole meal. And sometimes you give away your time, sometimes you give away your attention, sometimes you give away your body, sometimes you give away your money, sometimes you give away your talent, sometimes you give away your ideas, right? Maybe it's in the workplace and people are always like, taking credit for your work or whatever it is. But like using practically she wrote it in all capitals and in blue and underlined some shit on this thing. She wanted to get my attention. Like, hey, give yourself as much as you give to others, right? Like you deserve it too. You are worthy of your own time, attention, energy, love, your own focus, your praise, you're building others up, all the things that you do for other people, right? Make sure you're doing it for yourself too. I think a lot of us, I don't like the word guilty, but I think a lot of us are patterned and habituated into doing that, right? It's kind of the ways we move through the world, especially again, as women. And this is a really important thing. And you know what? Maybe you won't start off, giving as much as you give to others, but man, we got to start somewhere. And this now is like, I'm in a place in my life, I'm almost 58 where I think like, yeah, I mean, I do deserve my own time, my own attention, my own resources, right? I don't have to like, if you have guilt around whether it's making money or doing well or blah, blah, fill in the blank, whatever it is, right? Still be generous, of course. Still be kind. Still share your snacks, right? And there will be times, right? Especially when money is tight. I've known a lot of mothers who are like, my kids eat first and I get whatever's left over. And I saw it growing up as well. And hopefully that we come to a time where you're able, whatever kind of resource it is, your own love, give yourself as much love as you give to other people as well. Okay. That's a really important one. And then this last one, this again was also directed towards me in a very personal way, but I think that it applies to all of us, or maybe most of us. I don't want to assume things, but it says, "Have compassion for the 12-year-old." Because as you guys know, my mother was murdered right when I was 12, and she says, "Have compassion for the 12-year-old. Give her a hearing." Like what she's saying to me. So this is a two-parter. And then so she's like, have compassion for the 12-year-old, give her a hearing. So she's like, again, if we were to look at this from like an IFS or internal family systems or POTS work perspective, what she was saying to me is like that 12-year-old girl is still alive and well in there, and she's trying to get your attention. Like, so, you need to listen. You need to listen to what these younger parts of you, these parts of you that maybe you have pushed into the corner or exiled, right? Give them a voice, give them a hearing, listen to what comes up. And I can often tell when that part of me is feeling neglected or unheard, right? I can tell by the way, like, sometimes I'll say how sometimes I feel, um, I don't know, maybe the word is whiny, or I feel a little like whatever. And I'm like, there's some younger versions of you that are trying to get your attention. And I can tell whether it's my attitude, whether it's my tone of voice, or what I'm getting quote unquote triggered by, the things that are like bothering me or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. 57-year-old you is not the one who's having the problem right now. It's like these younger versions of you, and you need to listen to them, because if you don't, they will start sounding the alarm. And for me, the alarm in my body was irritable bowel syndrome, was anxiety, right? It was all these things that are coming up. So I love that. Have compassion, right? Don't look at those younger parts of you as a burden, because that's what happened when we didn't give them a listening to, we didn't give them a quote unquote hearing. Those parts of us became burdened with responsibilities that they shouldn't have had to do, emotional burdens, right? Heavy mental lifting, trying to keep us safe, trying to navigate. And that 12-year-old girl, man, she was fucking brave. She was a lot of things. And I love her now. I love that part of me. And so I now do listen. I have learned a lot since back in the day, since California. Okay. And then underneath that, she wrote, trust that you can learn it now in an organic process. And I think what she was saying is that there was so much that I was not taught. There was so much that I didn't learn when I was younger. Again, coming from where I came from, when I came from at that particular time, the people who raised me, how I was raised, the environment I was raised in, all of those things kind of created, right? Like this identity, this person of who I was. And she was saying to me, just because you didn't learn back then how to be fill in the blank, compassionate, or more kind toward yourself, or more open and receptive, or more trusting, or whatever the thing was that week that we were talking about, right? Trust that you can learn it now. That just because I think of it like Marianne Williamson once was talking about miracles, and how, you know, miracles are always, like, I'll put it this way, miracles are kind of always flowing our way. They're always coming towards us. And a lot of times, again, like with my Wonder Woman bracelets, ping, 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 you just deflect, deflect, deflect. You don't think you're ready. You don't think you're worthy. You don't see it. You're not paying attention. You're distracted by bullshit or whatever. And it's not that you lose, right, the miracles. She would kind of put it like this. She would say it's like they're kept in, like, by the Holy Spirit, by spirit. They're like kept in like a bank account, a savings account for you until you're ready to receive it. And I always love that idea, whether you think it's true or not. I just love the concept that it doesn't pass us by if we were not capable, if we hadn't created the capacity to receive it yet. We didn't miss out, right? There's still shit just being held in trust for us for when we're ready. And trusting that even though I didn't learn those things back then, I didn't miss out on the opportunity to better myself or to grow into those spiritual muscles, to learn those lessons of relating, or, all the things that so many of us who were traumatized kids, right, who didn't have enough time, attention, love, money, means, resources, whatever. A lot of us were just friggin', I say we were like raw dogging it, people are like, don't use that word, but it always makes me laugh. It's like we were just out there like dog paddling and surviving and trying to keep our head above water. And so a lot of the developmental stuff that a lot of people who were raised maybe by parents who were emotionally mature or capable or even present, right? I didn't get to learn a lot of those things. And I had to find out the fucking hard way on my own, clumsy as shit, just making all kinds of mistakes. And I can look back now and I can laugh. I mean, even well into my 30s, I was like, what were you thinking with those choices sometimes? You know what I mean? But here we are, and we survived it, guys. Here we are. Us Goonies. I'm wearing my Goonie shirts. Goonies never say die. So we can learn some shit. Like up until I always say, look, If I am alive, I am conscious and I am breathing, I am still capable of learning and growing and changing. So double amen hands to that. And that means you too. That means you too. We have to be curious. We have to be willing. We have to be able to pay attention to details. We have to be able to put in the time. We have to be willing, and curious. Those are two really big ones. So, you guys, trust that you can learn it now in an organic process too. That it's not too late for any of us. It's never too late to change. My sweetie has a great song that he wrote, and that's the chorus. I love that line. It's never too late to change. We can all do this. And luckily, we don't have to do it alone. We get to do it together. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that right now. I got to get going. I got to go teach a yoga class. But here's the thing. If you are still listening, you can still hear the sound of my voice, and you're like, I want to do some things together with you, KK. There's so many things that I'm offering right now. I have a yoga class that I teach. I do Thai yoga body work, traditionally known as Thai yoga massage for my local people here in New Hampshire. I have Write Club, which is right now, it's an in-person monthly generative writing workshop. It's happening at the 11th letter in Concord, New Hampshire on Main Street. My friend Jocelyn Wynn, it's her writing gallery. So once a month we meet there and we do a half day, a 4-hour workshop. And it's called Write Club. And our next one is coming up on Saturday, June 27th, which is amazing. My friend Emmeline and I, Emily Aborn, we are doing a series of workshops on podcasting. We have 3 of those suckers. Those are happening also in June, July, and August. You can find out about all this. Like, go to my website, KarenKenney.com, and you can find everything there. You can find out about the Nest, my group mentoring program, my spiritual mentoring program and community. The people in it are amazing. I love these people. I think you would too. And of course, I work one-to-one in a variety of ways with folks. So all kinds of shenanigans happening. And if you want to know what those are without having to write to me or find out online, whatever, just go to KarenKenney.com/sign up and sign up for my newsletter. And you will get everything sent right into your inbox. You will find out everything that is going on. And then this podcast will also show up on your inbox every Thursday morning. So that's what I got for you today. Again, if you want to check out some of these books, you can see I'm holding up the book, Daphne Rose Kingma. You can Google her. She's been on Oprah, the Larry King Show, whatever. Daphne's been around. She's gorgeous too. Look at her. This is like back in the day. These are like old pictures because these are old books. But she's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Look at my friend. Oh my God, I love her. Mwah. I love her and I miss her. She's in California and I haven't seen her in such a long time. But I'm always blasting her with love. Wherever she is in the world, just like my hat, like a little golden string is tied to hers and it always will be. So if you had a great therapist too, if you had somebody who really took you under their wing and helped you to discover yourself, like how lucky are we? And she was really my only therapist. I went to those are other stories for others days, but she was the best of the best and I adored her. All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Wherever you go, may you leave yourself and the animals and the other humans and the environment and the planet better than how you found it. Wherever you go, may you leave, no, wherever you go, may your love, your energy, your presence, your attention, everything, just you being there, may it be a blessing. Bye.